Hey there! Time for another book review. So, most recent book is Gods of Jade and Shadow by Silvia Moreno-Garcia. So this one, start with, it's really, really good. So the premise of the book, um, it's set in 1920s Mexico. Specifically starts in, I believe, the Yucatan. Yeah, starts in a town in the Yucatan. Main character is 18-year-old girl by the name of Cassiopeia Tun. Uh, she she lives in the house of her grandfather, who is the richest man in town. Uh, it's a relatively small town, but yeah, he's the richest man in town by a long shot. And but because she is pretty close to being a bastard, in the literal sense of the word, she doesn't get treated with any respect. Basically, her mother had run off with a peasant, gave birth to her, gave birth to Cassiopeia. The father died. The mother ended up having to move back in with her father. As a result of that, Cassiopeia and her mother are both treated kind of like crap by the rest of the family. Uh, in particular, Cassiopeia's cousin Martine is particularly spiteful towards her. He's just a miserable bastard in general. And so Cassiopeia spends her days cleaning cleaning the house and doing whatever chores she's told to do. Um, until one day she opens uh, a wooden box in her grandfather's bedroom, which turns out to have the bones of the Mayan death god Hun Kam. Hun came. I'm not totally sure the pronunciation. I did try to find pronunciation of it. Hun came seems to be. I'm not sure if it's Hun came or Hun came or, but Hun came is sort of the only pronunciation I was able to find. Uh, if anyone knows the correct pronunciation and wants to correct me, please do. Um, anyway, so yeah, Hunkim had been killed 50 years earlier, had been beheaded by his brother and shoved into a box in Cassiopeia's grandfather's room. And now she's freed him. And he wants revenge. He needs to find a few missing bits of himself. An ear, a finger, a necklace, and an eye. He needs to find those four things in order to be whole. In the meantime, he is reduced in power and reliant on Cassiopeia for survival, in that he leeches her life. So she needs to help him become whole in order to be free of him. Um, so they go on an adventure. Uh, they go to a few different cities: um, Veracruz, Mexico City, El Paso, and finally Baja California. And as the story progresses, they face greater and greater challenges and get closer and closer to each other emotionally. And mixed in with all the chapters focusing on her, there are occasional chapters focused on Hun Kame's brother, Vukub Kame, and also occasionally, yeah, as he sort of tries to predict what's going to happen with his brother, and also occasionally on Cassiopeia's cousin, Martine, as he tries to get Cassiopeia to return home because he is now serving Vukup same as the grandfather did. And it's really good stuff. Uh, Moreno Garcia obviously did a lot of research, not just into, I mean, obviously into Mayan mythology because it draws pretty heavily from uh, from Mayan mythology, but more to the point, she obviously did a lot of research on 1920s Mexico, Jazz Age Mexico. Um, a lot of descriptions of the fashion. Oh, quiet, Casey. A lot of descriptions of different fashion, of architecture, of what sort of styles of music were popular at the time. Just a whole lot of stuff went into what she's doing. Um, she also has a glossary at the back of some of the terms used in the book, some of the um, references to things from Mayan mythology and explaining certain things from Mayan mythology. Um, doesn't have pronunciations here, which I don't know. I would have appreciated if it would include pronunciations as well, just because I don't speak any of it. I don't know the Mayan languages. I don't know, and yes, languages. So I don't know any of the Mayan languages. I don't even know Spanish. Um, so it would have been cool if it would have been nice if there'd been pronunciation guide as well. Characters are all really good, really well written. Um, Cassiopeia is definitely a very compelling protagonist. Um, driven as much by her dreams of an adventure of just getting out from her grandfather's house as she is anything else. Um, the relationship between Cassiopeia and Hunkame, is really organic, progresses really organically, uh, and is just really good. Martine is such a dick. He really is just like such a terrible dude. Um, and it makes his chapters enjoyable to read somehow. Because like the book does not even like in the chapters dedicated to him. The book does not shy away from what kind of person he is. It is ultimately a very petty man. Um, not terribly smart, not terribly ambitious, just a spoiled little brat who always wants to be the biggest dog around. He wants to be the biggest fish in the smallest pond. Essentially. Uh, story is presented very well. Not the story of the book. I mean, like, the concept of stories. It does a lot of stuff with just gods being bound by stories and myths. How there are certain ways that things need to progress. It's they're not really they don't really have full freedom to make their own choices. The gods, they do have to follow certain um, story beats, basically. So it does a really good job exploring the ways in which gods are defined by the stories that humans tell about them. And it definitely draws like some sort of fairy tale elements, and it's just really interesting stuff. Really compelling storyline. So yeah, definitely really highly recommended. It is a fantastic book. Um, I need to track down some of her other stuff. Mexican Gothic was also by her, so I need to track down Mexican Gothic. Um, oh, and I should mention, yeah, the the writing is just great. Like, it's just fantastic writing. Great writing style that Garcia's got, or Morena Garcia's got, I should say. So, yeah, really good, really worth reading. So the next book I read is not going to be a physical one. Um, you can find there are physical copies out there. It is it's not tough to find physical copies of it, but I will be reading it digitally. So yeah, the next book I read is Cogs, Crowns, and Carriages, which is a steampunk anthology. It's one that I backed on Kickstarter. I got the digital rewards for it, so that's how I will be reading it, is just digitally. Um, Not too old. Only came out in 2019, so believe me, I've got much older. I've got books that came out like a decade ago that I have to get around. That I backed on Kickstarter that I have to get around to reading. So yeah, I got plenty to catch up on there. Anyways, can't really think of much more to say about it. It is a very good book. It did get nominated for Nebula Award um, for Best Novel, which is something. Uh, Nebula Awards are specifically sci-fi and fantasy. So this would be sort of historical, yeah, sort of a historical fantasy. Oh, Canadian Mexican. I didn't even realize Garcia was Canadian Mexican. Oh yeah, she lives in BC. Well, there you go. No wonder it's a good book. We Canadians know what we're doing. Anyway, so yeah, Gods of Jade and Shadow by Silvia Moreno-Garcia. Really good book. I very much recommend reading it. If you do, let me know what you think. If you decide to read this book, let me know what you think of it. I'm sure you'll enjoy it because it's a just really rich prose. And yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you in another video.